Skin betting is the act of placing a wager online using an in-game item rather than real money or a virtual currency. But it's also an act which has led to an investigation by several countries into video game gambling. Now, the UK Gambling Commission has published a survey which states that skin betting could be a threat to young people.
In a research survey conducted by the UK Gambling Commission, they found that young people are without a doubt experiencing gambling in some way, but failing to understand the consequences of their actions. The survey, published on December the 12th, shows that young people had experienced gambling online through social media, free-to-bet casino websites, and even some video games. As for statistics, the Commission's report states that 11% of 11 to 16-year-olds had placed bets using in-game items like weapon skins in multiplayer games or free-to-play mobile games. The BBC reports that the skin betting industry is currently valued at £3 billion a year, and that kids as young as 11 years old are being introduced to gambling through games like Counter-Strike. According to the report, one of the Commission's top priorities is identifying and cracking down on third-party websites which enable players to gamble their in-game items for real-world money.
Now, this issue first came to light after YouTubers T. Martin and Pro Syndicate were caught promoting a skin betting website called CSGO Lotto on their channels. Videos showed the pair placing bets and winning the most valuable skins in the game. They then encouraged the fans to gamble skins as well, because they were led to believe they could win the same skins. But T. Martin and Pro Syndicate just happened to own and operate CSGO Lotto, which they casually forgot to tell their viewers whilst making their money. T. Martin and Pro Syndicate got off quite lightly, if you ask us. T. Martin and Pro Syndicate...
Got off quite lightly, if you ask us. I'll just check with the legal department.
Can't we say that, boss? Nah. T. Martin and Pro Syndicate got off quite lightly though, avoiding any financial penalties or potential prison time, and the American Federal Trade Commission effectively told them, "Hey you! Don't do that again, okay?"
But Sarah Harrison, Chief Executive of the Gambling Commission, thinks skin betting is a much more serious issue and action must be taken to prevent minors from using these websites. She said, quote, "We're seeing examples of really young people, 11 and 12 years old, who are getting involved in skin betting, not realising that it's gambling. At one level, they are running up bills perhaps on their parents' PayPal account or credit card, but the wider effect is the introduction and normalisation of this kind of gambling among children and young people." Several parental guidance groups also weighed in on the Commission's report, and they agreed skin betting is a growing problem, but most parents aren't even aware of it because they think it's just a game.
The BBC also interviewed the university student who had been skin betting since he was 15 and he had lost over £2,000 because of it. The student said, quote, "I'd get my student loan, some people spend it on expensive clothes. I spend it on gambling virtual items. It doesn't feel like it's real money because it's skins, it's virtual items, and when you win, it feels exciting." He also points out that many of the skin betting websites lack any sort of age verification or protections. He said most websites just have a pop-up which says, "Are you over 18? You click yes and away you go." There's no spending limit or warnings in place to keep people safe.
Speaking about the report, Executive Director of the Gambling Commission Tim Miller said, quote, "It is clear that many children's experiences of gambling style activities are coming from the playground, the games console or social media, rather than the bookmaker, the casino or the gambling website."
Giving the kids the opportunity to do that is stupid. I don't believe in it at all, especially if you're an influencer on YouTube and it's your job to sort of get people excited about video games and things like that. I think that's your profession. But using it for your own gain to take advantage of kids, it's f***ing disgusting. And the fact that T. Martin and Pro Syndicate both got away with that, I know this is all sounding a little bit YouTube beef, but remember, this isn't like some drama alert shit. They were people really lying and taking advantage of kids for money. Yeah. So,
and it just shows as well that whatever has happened, hypothetically, to T. Martin and Pro Syndicate, they obviously think that that's not good enough, that more needs to be done. They're looking at this more seriously, and whatever punishment was dished out there and whatever kind of warning and message that was given out at that time obviously isn't strong enough, because they think that kids are just gambling, basically, just flat out gambling using skins, weapon skins and whatever.
We've only mentioned a couple of the quotes because there's loads of quotables in this survey. You want to read the whole thing?
It's a description,
saying stuff like 40% of the teenagers that gamble do it strictly for profit, so they fancy themselves a little bit of Wolf of Wall Street sort of characters. I think that the reason it's such an easy pull to get kids to gamble is because gaming a lot of the time, especially if you're playing online, is risk and reward. Do I want to go around this corner and try and shoot this guy? And if I'll win and stuff like that. adding that risk and reward factor from gambling into something like this, it's just a perfect fit, really. And you can see exactly how it's psychologically hooked all these teenagers, and not just teenagers as well. And obviously, this is a problem for people that have suffered with gambling issues before. Adults, people that haven't, people get hooked every day. I'm sure there's someone's spending their first microtransaction probably right now as we're talking about it. Do you know what I mean? By the time you're watching this video,
it obviously shows that parents obviously don't appreciate exactly how much money is involved in these things as well. Very much like the gems and mobile games, which was a bit more of a scandal a couple of years ago, where parents would suddenly find themselves with massive credit card bills because their little kid has just spent like a couple of £100 on fucking pretend gems. This is kind of the same thing. It's just what is it? It's just a different colour for a knife, a pretend digital knife, and their kid has spent £2,000. They've spent a lot of money on this thing.
What a bad way to find out when you got a £5,000
exactly.
credit.
A recipe for disaster if you're a
little
parent.
Timmy's not going to college.
The other big game, I guess, as well, CSGO is FIFA Ultimate Team, and skin betting is already illegal. That's already a thing that the Gambling Commission recognises as being bad. So it's not like they're saying, we need to do something about this. They're really saying, like, this is a big problem. We need to step up whatever we already are doing, because skin betting is illegal. And FIFA Ultimate Team websites, hand in hand with that, some of them have been prosecuted by the Gambling Commission successful. They've been pursued by them to stop doing what they are doing, which is a very similar thing to skin CSGO.
Yeah, it is. So what do you reckon, then? Are you surprised at how many kids are actually gambling underage? Let us know down in the comments below. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new around here. There's some more videos right here on the screen. There's also a link to our Patreon if you want to support the channel. And until then, we'll see you in the next video.